On this episode, the ship is always sinking. Hey everybody, this is the Quarter Show again, and we're talking about the ship always sinking. I know, Ben just said it. It sounds bad. It does. It sounds negative. But negative, positive. Look, you're always en route to hit an iceberg, right? It's like you're on board the Titanic, and you have to operate that way all the time. The truth is, the ship is always somewhat sinking. You're always taking on water to some degree, and you have to be operating that way, where you're getting the water out, you're clearing the ship, you're putting order back into the ship, you're steering the ship right, and you're getting it on course. And to some degree, if you don't do that, the ship kind of gets off course and hits an iceberg and takes on water, and just, it's always happening. And this leads into urgency, and I think a lot of people sometimes drive in this idea that, like, well, why is it so urgent, and why do we have to do this, and we'll do it tomorrow, and we'll do it next week, and different things like that. It's like, both from a standpoint of what you're selling, okay, you need to understand your value prop so well that you need to figure out, why is it urgent to your prospect who you're selling, or if you're an entrepreneur or whatever, like your value prop in terms of your company. Why is your product urgent? Why does it need to happen now? If you don't have it at that level where it needs to happen now, or it's not that mission critical, then you need to work on your product. And if it is, then you need to work on your communication strategy to level it up at that level where it's like you're communicating where it is urgent and that's coming across. And internally, people need to be operating at the level where they understand that the ship is always sinking. Even if you're getting wins, even if you're getting wins, it's like for us, we actually were notified last week that we're, making the Inc. 5000 list for the fourth year in a row. Ooh. Cool win there. But we absolutely operate as if the ship is always sinking, and that we're always taking on water, right? And
I mean, the proof is just in this. The proof is just in look at any area of your life where an area unmonitored, you cease to monitor it for some amount of time, and look at sort of what can happen as a result. You look at it in terms of your car, and like getting the oil changed, and the different cleanups that are needed, and what condition a thing can get in. Anything material, anything that's the systems themselves are part of of where we live and stuff like that. Any sort of systems or material, anything like that, unmonitored, is gonna eventually take a downtrend. So it's a constant monitor, it's a constant create of going in, like, we got to get this the right direction. You can monitor it week to week. We work on a weekly basis, but even more tighter, daily quotas.
Daily, yeah.
Hourly, what's happening right now, especially when you need production done, you need something, like you need output, you need to like handle something immediately. You can look at it hourly. You can look at it as fine in terms of amount of time as is needed and is warranted. But if you let that time span out, that's where you're going to get situations unmonitored by a management person or some executive over the area is going to get wonky and is going to get funny.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need randomity, if you need craziness in your environment, by all means, stop looking at something for a while. Go on a 2-week vacation. Pretend you're totally checked out, and don't check emails or phones. You're going to come back to so many fires. It's going to make you feel like the ship is sinking.
Yeah, but it's like you have to understand, like sometimes people are lackadaisical about speed and urgency in a company. It's like it's always urgent. It's always urgent. Everything's actually urgent. And if you can't see that, or you don't have the exact fire to give you that urgency, you have to sort of manufacture, synthetically put that urgency there, because the truth is, it has to culturally be in. Culturally, it has to be urgent. You have to understand that, both for your sales team and marketing team, everything that you're doing is urgent, because this idea of the ship is taking on water, right? The ship is constantly sinking to some degree. And like Ben said, if you don't work on something around the clock, whether it's keeping something clean or keeping something, upkept in a high condition, it sort of naturally sort of degrades, and that means like speed and urgency kind of keep stuff in a nice stable condition across the organization. And so when you're hustling at that level, you sort of keep the water out of the ship and keep it steering on route because it's being driven by that sense of urgency. And sometimes we run into situations where maybe we're selling something here or just the way a company is working and they're like, oh, that's down the road, or we're going to do this then, or we're going to look at blah, blah, blah. And obviously culturally, that's just a wrong viewpoint, but you should be looking at it from the standpoint, if you're trying to sell, you need to handle that and inject that urgency into what they're doing. And it starts with you having the urgency internally at your company with this element of like, look, the ship is sinking, this needs to happen right now.
And look, this is not totally fatalistic. That's not what this is. That's not what it's meant by this.
No.
Is that, oh my God, like things are dangerous in some bad, like we're afraid type of way.
No.
The environment is dangerous. There is penalty to lack of production, because look at this. Go pick any job title, pick any sort of position in the company, and go on LinkedIn and search on that and look at how long people in different jobs last at different companies.
Yeah.
And you will start to see that the ship is sinking, because when it becomes a norm for a certain post or position to have only, I was at this company for a year or two, this company for a year or two, this company for a year or two, that means there's something really wrong.
Yeah.
If someone's resources and abilities are up to a job position, they should be kept and coveted by a company for the rest of their life, and promoted and helped and pushed and grow.
100%.
Like, that's natural. What's not natural is change.
It's true. And the thing is, the ones that win, whether it's a sports team or whether it's a company, is the ones that are the ones that are intense, and they're intense, and they have this group camaraderie and this sort of row mentality, or just working to get that water out to some degree all the time. And they do take it seriously. They do treat it urgent, and you just tend to win with a team built up by people that way. And like Ben said, it's not to put fear on the organization or stress people out. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is a cultural idea that the ship is always sinking or could possibly sink. And our job is to keep it spick and span, perfectly clean, no water on deck, and just charging straight ahead.
Everybody on their positions and fully doing what they're supposed to do.
Despite hitting, you hit an iceberg, good, clean it up, keep going, clean the deck, get it off, patch the hole, and you keep moving in that direction. And I think what really kills companies, a lot of what kills companies is this plague of this, it's not urgent. This is not a priority right now. This is not happening. Oh, we're going to do it later. Oh, we're going to push off, kick the can down the road, procrastinate, delay. These are the things that kill companies, right? And then when the company gets spun out, it drops down into a lower state. It's hurting. People scratch their heads and think, gosh, what happened? I don't know. Geez, I don't know. It's like it lost the fire of urgency. It lost the idea that the ship is sinking, and that this idea that the ship is sinking, and constantly working to where's the water, clean the water, let's keep going. And I think that that's something that in your sales team, in your sales, and in your prospects company, if you're selling somebody, your value prop, everything that you do, whether you have a web application or a platform that you're selling, or CRM, or an enterprise software, you have to paint that picture and inject that into the value prop. Because business moves like this. The best businesses do. We could all name them out. The best businesses move at the speed of light, right? They move incredibly fast. And a team that's intense and they're working to bail out the water and just go with this idea that the ship is always sinking. Even if you're at $1 billion, or you're at 100 million, or you're at 10 million, this is true. And you are kind of never out of the woods, right? And anybody who's in the trenches knows that. Anybody who has a finger on the pulse on revenue knows that. You're kind of never out of the woods, right? And the ship is kind of always sinking at all times. And even when you're doing really well, there's always that threat that you're going to take on some water. And if you take your eye off that, and you take your eye off urgency, and you get you go up to the deck and start sipping pina coladas or what, it's like. And the people are shocked when you hit this iceberg, and people haven't built the culture and the work ethic of always expecting the iceberg and bailing out the ship. It catches you off guard. There's a great Will Smith quote. He says, you know, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Right? If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that. It's really an aligned idea. It's like, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah, and I even this morning was commenting to one of the folks here. I was like, show me someone who's just doing just fine, and they don't need nothing, and they're just so happy with exactly as they are, and I'll show you someone who's on the precipice of a downturn.
Yeah.
Like they're on the edge of about to have a downturn.
Yeah.
You got to stay hungry.
You have to stay hungry. You have to stay ambitious. You have to stay urgent. You have to understand that you're currently riding the Titanic, and and
Not to be afraid or fearful, or,
you know, but it's you know,
and we're going down. Get the robots. It's not true. It's not true.
I mean, not the idea that you're going down, but just keep a sense of just sort of that productive paranoia, that urgency all the time, and
build some cannons, shoot that iceberg. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
keep
let's
going.
get it done.
And build, if you built it into your sales team and you have that
A
level,
culture.
a culture and a team and an intensity to it, you're just going to win.
Yeah.
You're just going to keep winning. And, you know, it frankly makes it a little bit more exciting. But the people who are sort of like, I'm buried, I'm busy, it's not urgent, we don't need this, like, frankly, you should probably get those people out of your company. You know?
I was going to say, who wants to come do a job interview here at Richter?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
you're going to find out. Like, it is built into our culture.
Yeah, so be
Like,
urgent.
there's this sign here that, I don't know, we
Yeah.
pointed it out. Anyway.
Yeah, be urgent, hustle, keep that mentality in, and you're always going to do well. You're always going to win. You're always going to get ahead. All right?
Yeah.
Hope that helps. Subscribe to the show, and we'll have more coming at you soon. Okay?